Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Brandon.
We're so excited. I cannot tell you. Oh, I forgot the hook. I can't tell you where it is. My swords keep cutting air. Dwarven Stall, whoever the hell that adventurer is. We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure. I am really excited today. It's been a while since we covered the monster tactics style D&D episode, so we're excited to talk the Displacer beast today.
Of course we are.
It's one of my favorites.
Very iconic, actually.
Yeah, it is. What was that? Was it it was your birthday party? Freaking oh, what was?
I don't know.
What's
These
his
words,
name?
dude.
Gabe came over and he 3D printed a Displacer beast for him,
Oh
and he
my
about
God.
shit himself.
I totally should have brought that on screen to show everyone.
It's like, yeah, I got you this. Is this a fucking Displacer beast? It's like, yeah, I printed it for you. I love
It's
you,
so
man.
Awesome. It was great. Anyways, how about we get into this bad boy, you guys? I'm really excited. So, seldom. Actually, do you want to take the first part there, Brandon? Give us a really great, powerful voice.
Seldom where they seem Displacer.
No,
I can't do that.
Really?
So I can't see. Scroll up.
Use your own notes. It's right there.
I'm blind.
Why do you have a laptop?
Because don't you want me to stare at that camera? No.
And this is in the way. You need to move. Okay. Seldom where they seem, Displacer beasts mislead enemies by concealing their true location by displacing light, which helps them evade danger. It's like a black hole, you know? Aside from the Feywild, they also prowl the forests and caverns of the natural world, where their glowing emerald eyes appear to change position constantly as they stare out from their dark hiding places.
That was really good.
All right, then.
Displacer beasts, because not everyone knows what a displacer beast is, right? So we really want to get into that. Displacer beasts look like enormous panthers, but their barbed tentacles and illusions make them far deadlier. They quietly stalk their prey before bringing it down as quickly as possible in an ambush, which I love. And it's so funny. The lore behind this doesn't match the stat block, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. The Displacer beast's cunning, stealth, and ferocity have earned it a reputation as one of the most well-known predators in the Feywild. Now, the creature's images used in heraldry and literature to indicate a character or an organization that is elusive, tricky, and mysterious.
Now, a surprise attack by a Displacer beast means a quick death for most. The beast's speed is so great and its attacks are so fierce, it can swiftly drop anyone who is not prepared or trained for battle. So if you're a peasant, you're effed.
Boned.
Not in a fun way.
So the first thing we want to talk about is a little bit about the mechanics in 5e. Right out the gate, that's going to be important because we're talking 5e. That's what we play at the moment. So while there's lots of cool other things, there's two real big abilities they got. Is they're a CR3. They've got avoidance and displacement. So obviously, as we go, these are going to become really critical and are going to fall into some of these categories. This probably means they're difficult to pin down, right?
Yes, they are very difficult to pin down. With their displacement ability and deft movement, Displacer beasts can avoid most enemies, which means the creatures usually enter battle as the aggressors. They attack the weakest targets first, using their maneuverability to slip past tougher defenses. And when hunted, Displacer beasts spring ambushes in thick forests or other places where they can quickly escape from enemies that prove too strong. If they are outmatched or gravely wounded, the beasts nearly always try to retreat unless starvation drives them to fight on in hopes of claiming a meal. So
So with that, obviously avoidance makes the most sense, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I just got a picture. Oh, that's cute. My wife sent me a snapshot of the Displacer Beast. So I'm gonna give you guys a really cool picture of this really quick because I really want to give a huge shout out to my boy who Gabe who made this for me as soon as I could figure out which window it is.
That one.
Which one? This one? Nope. Might be this one. I don't want to share that because I don't know
want to share that.
where that's gonna end up. Never mind. Alicia can post it in the Facebook. But anyway, so we're talking avoidance here, and mechanically, the first thing that surprised me is the stat block does not have proficiency in stealth. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, there's no skill proficiencies. So for something as stealthy and elusive as the Displacer Beast, I don't know why they chose not to give it proficiency in stealth.
And for that matter, its passive perception's only 11.
Yes. So so far, raw stat wise, it's not living up to the hype of the lore that fits it.
You know, I just I had a flashback to the Dungeons and Dragons arcade games from which they did port to game consoles and PC, which is nice. And a boss fight they had in there actually was a Displacer Beast. And the way they depicted it is they had two on screen at the same time. But you had to pay attention because only one of them has a shadow underneath them, and that's the real one. So if you actually want to damage it, you have to attack the real one to reduce his health bar so you can win.
Yes. Okay. So now you're getting into some of the stuff that really makes this pretty awesome. So
in theory.
So while it's not part of the stat block, I do encourage you to at least give it stealth.
Yes.
At the very least, double it. Give it stealth. Add its proficiency because it needs it. You don't have to do that, but whatever. So going back to the avoidance thing, or the difficult to pin down. I think this falls most obviously with the displacement, but we're going to talk avoidance first. So basically, avoidance says that if it makes a saving throw to take only half damage, it takes no damage. This gives it a huge advantage over characters that are using spell saves specifically, right?
Yep.
And these creatures, while they're not extremely intelligent, they're smart enough to strategize and understand who is the weak of the characters, right?
No, it's just imagine you're dropping a massive fireball on one of these things, and it makes it safe. And the players don't know jack about the Displacer Beast, right? And it's like as the clouds dissipate and the heat starts to go away, you can see the shadow of the Displacer Beast staring at you with like nothing happened.
And you're like,
you take any damage at all? Fuck no.
And I think that's
you do not believe so.
But because of this gives us a good opportunity. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, I think, later in the actually one of the topics we have today is talking about how they are prized guards and pets. So because they can be trained and manipulated, I totally can see these creatures becoming so much more deadly in a situation where they are trained by a character or a wizard or a sorcerer that uses a lot of AoE type magic where it doesn't have to worry about hurting its own ally.
That's pretty cool.
Or as a dick and doesn't care.
Or as a dick and doesn't care. But either way, it becomes the perfect ally to a person that deals with a lot of explosive type combat. And
that looks like fun.
Yeah. Oh, so we got a comment in here that I thought was really great by Getting Bad at Things says, my favorite strategy is using riders on blink dogs. There's a collar on it, the dog attuned to a bracer on a rider that allows the rider to travel with a blink dog. That is cool, and I'm totally going to borrow that. So for me, right off the gate, it really feels like one of the cool things that we can do is benefit from partnering this creature up and taking advantage of its avoidance. But it itself also is aware of its avoidance, right? It knows that it's agile. It knows that it can avoid stuff easily. So it's more likely to step into a world of hazards right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
So for me, if this creature understands that it is a agile beast, it may choose to take the next step of, okay, I'm going to set my hunting areas where there's lots of falling debris, or where there's lots of hazards, like randomly gouts of steam or hot water or lava or some other thing that they can kind of jump, dodge, and weave into this environmental effect that really gets the most out of their agility. What are some examples you guys can think of with that?
Actually, speaking of stealth, I'm just pulling up Stat Block in past editions, because why not?
Right.
It had bonuses to stealth in past editions.
So that's really strange that it didn't include that.
Yeah.
Are there any environmental effects or settings where you can feel you can get the most out of its avoidance? I mean, boulders and falling rocks is definitely one.
Yep.
Because usually, snow, probably, if you really wanted to get into it, like the ice cap mountains or something.
Or like lava pits that spit.
Randomly
Stuff like
spew
that.
it. I think
Acidic swamps.
right, because you really want to take advantage of that this mobility and the combination of its hunting tactics and intelligence, because it, as a displacer beast, it's very likely to say, okay, or not say, but it's likely to think, okay, the world around me can be just as dangerous as my tendrils. You know what I mean? And so so they're bound to go into hunting grounds where that's going to be the thing. And I think it works really well for places with like any sort of vegetation that explodes or something like that when you bump into it. Like the eye rot shrub that we have, right? One of the monsters we made was an eye rot shrub, which is basically a hazard. When you bump into it, you can't see. That would make a really great hunting ground, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other ways to get take advantage of the avoidance feature of the displacer beast?
Could that go with such things as what needs saves?
Like, actually, going off of a tip that we played just the other week, a dungeon that has lots of traps. Like, we already established area effects that it can dodge, and if it saves, it take no damage. Like, if you place like a lot, like explosive rooms, for example, or various other yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one too. Once again, they're smarter than you would give them credit. I think they got like an intelligence of 6. Which makes them about a little ape level, right? Which apes are pretty relatively intelligent for when it comes to protecting their family type clans and stuff.
Or as some people would say, almost as smart as your average barbarian.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Once again, because the displacer beasts, so because they're intelligent creatures, displacer beasts often hold a comfortable spot near the top of the food chain.
Yep.
Their predatory skills are unmatched, and they possess strong instincts and far greater intelligence than most ordinary animals. Because of this, the displacer beast sets up ambushes. It tracks its foes and follows clues, not just scents like a wild beast, and can even lure enemies into traps, which is kind of what Ian was talking about, and hazards when fighting in dangerous areas, which goes back to having an area that's volatile and that becoming their hunting grounds.
And kind of one thing we have not touched on yet, they have multi-attack up to 2 times with their, more importantly, tentacles, which have reach of 10 feet. So, obviously, most people are going to think, I'm just going to attack with their weapon appendages twice. It's like, okay, that's true. You can do that. But if they're a smart displacer beast, and doubling down on what we were saying earlier, you're fighting inside a dungeon with traps or even drop-off points, they could just as easily grapple somebody and drag them around.
Yes, so that's one of the big things I want to talk about. Brandon, do you have anything on that before I ramble for a few minutes?
I feel like that would just be terrifying. It's just because they grab someone, they just start dragging them to all this horrifying terrain that they have advantage on. I'm like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, so Barbara has a really good point. Didn't the toxins didn't the tentacles used to have a paralyzing toxin? I think they did, and I'm sure Ian would be happy to look that up to confirm.
Well, looking at the 3.0 stat block I'm looking at anyway. I'm not seeing it at the glance.
But
I'm not saying it's wrong.
Right. But
I'm just saying with the material I'm looking at right now in the D20 reference document, I'm not seeing it there.
Okay. So the other thing is, so we're talking about their tendrils. They have a reach, which means they are not dumb. They're smart enough to avoid walking into an enemy's reach. They're well aware that their tentacles give them an advantage. So imagine this. The adventurers are crawling through a forest or the hunting ground of this displacer beast. I think a forest is really good, but anywhere with high cliffs or something that they have to pass through, churning valleys and everything, where you have to they can crawl around and get above the characters, which is also why I think they should have climb. The fact that they don't have climb kind of bothered me. A climb speed.
I was just thinking that too.
That's another thing that I will give my displacer beast, because for all intents and purposes, it's a damn panther with tentacles. And if anything, it's got extra legs.
Yep.
So, does it have 6 legs?
Yes, it does. So for me, that's just kind of weird, but whatever. But anyway, so because they have these long tentacles, they can, kind of crawl up and around and just start yoinking people from the party.
Pulling predator.
Yeah, pulling a predator level thing. And that to me is absolutely something that it should be doing during its hunting its prey, because it's smart enough to know who is weak and who is strong. If the creature can look at a big giant buff barbarian and know that's going to put up a bigger fight than the scrawny ass wizard. They may not know that the wizard has all this power, but they are smart enough to know that small frame means easier to control and hold. So I can totally see them reaching up and pulling enemy or player characters right up out of the party into the trees and running off of them.
Yeah. And if it's dark enough, the adventurers are not going to know the difference between a hanging vine or hanging tentacles sitting there, unless they make the proper checks. But just sitting there and it's like, oh, okay, let's just get out here and then just straight up. Especially if you're the one in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your friends aren't paying attention. Hey, where'd Steve go? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something I find interesting too is looking at the stat block. We of course avoidance feature, obviously, which allows it to have a take half damage from area effects or no damage. It makes it save, but its displacement ability.
Yes.
Attacks against it have disadvantage when in attacks, and it says if it's hit by attack, this trait is disrupted till the end of its turn. And this trait is disrupted while the beast is incapacitated or has a speed of 0. And going off of the stat blocks I'm looking at. Now, obviously, that's how the feature's built in 5th edition. But in earlier editions, it just says attacks have a 50% chance of just straight up missing, period. Yeah. And it also has like bonuses defense from range attacks, like +2 and 3.0, 3.5, for example. But yeah.
So this goes really well with the fact that.
But I find it interesting that though that in previous editions it did not lose this trait. Well, here in this edition it does.
Yeah, that's odd to me.
Yeah.
So. Moving on to the next big power that it has, as Ian has pointed out, the displacement. This has so many potential advantages.
Yeah.
More than just the traditional you have a chance to miss when they hit.
Uh-huh.
To me, this means that the creature can appear, it appears basically off of where it's at, right?
Yep.
People think it's, a couple feet off to the side, which means it can use that to its advantage when somebody's chasing it. If it looks like it's 2 feet to the right and it knows that there's a hazard somewhere,
a drop off.
Yes,
a cliff.
It can give the illusion that it's. I was thinking like a pit trap or something, or poisonous vines. It can look like as if it's running through that, and likely somebody is going to what?
Follow them
right into it. And so if they're chasing it, especially if it's carrying one of your allies that it just picked up from the middle of trying to take a nap, you can utilize that in a way that the characters will chase it through the hazardous terrain. In this case, let's think spike growth of the magic spell, right? That can be just a regular pile of vine bushes. And so that's just one way that we can take advantage, not of the mechanic of it having a chance to miss, but the visual fact that it's not where it appears to be. What do you guys think about that?
He just ran through that green liquid. It must be safe.
Well, you can even go with that more because it has that high avoidance. It can also
just do it.
Yes, and so there's I don't know. It seems like something that it gets overlooked because of the way it functions. Barbara's got a really great point here, talking about having it run right through or near a patch of vine blights. And that's a really great example where now they now have other things pissed off that they're chasing. So it just kind of, snowball effects or displacer beast tricks your ass into running into it, which is really cool. Now, it is worth noting that it is a magical illusion, right? So you have to see. So that can be taken advantage of. But I also think that that's part of the strategy that you can give your players, your characters. They can develop a strategy, given them Arcana check. You know that it's an illusion, so maybe they can peer through it. Is there spells that give true seeing or anything like that? I can't think of anything right off the head. True sight, but yeah. I don't know if there's a spell that gives that or anything.
And it actually did say, once again, in previous editions, if a character has true sight, this displacement ability does nothing.
Yes. And I really think that's...
I think past edition, because that just doesn't need to be the case in this 5th edition.
Yeah. And those are kind of the core features that they have. But it is worth noting that the displacement... not only are they are likely to keep their distance, reducing the chance that they can get hit. They also are covered in displacement, which reduces the chance they are going to get hit. Mm-hmm. And overall, their versatility on avoidance is just bar none, terrifying. And now comparing this, I think to get the most out of it is the combat tactics you want to use when you employ them. They're not going to just go run up, hit, and wait until they're dead.
And something I want to point out, too, is they have a relatively low AC. Like, in the stat block, it's like a 13?
I think so.
All right, so the displacement ability, I believe when you add disadvantage, I think it adds, effectively a +4, +5, more or less. So, yeah. Right. So you're effectively looking at what might be considered a effective +17 AC, which I would say might be, what would you say, as high as average for creatures in general?
What? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was reading something.
So effectively, we make his AC about like 16, 17, 18. So
approximately, yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that, especially at lower levels, that would make it higher than average per se?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like a punching bag, but not really.
Yes, it's a punching bag you can't hit. So we got a couple comments on blind fighting. I totally think that quantifies as not they would be able to not be affected by or tricked by the displacement. Did you have anything?
Yeah, it'd probably work.
Wow.
I don't know much about feats.
Well, you have 2 of them.
I heard you.
But yes, I do think blind sight would work. Tremor sense. There's a few other senses that would work. And honestly, if a player came up to me and they realized that it's an illusion, I would totally reward them if they decided to I want to close my eyes and listen. So maybe offer them a perception check to detect where it's at, and then if they succeed the check, you don't impose the disadvantage granted by the displacement.
If I'm feeling snarky, I'm like, well, you have a disadvantage, so why not?
I succeeded in my perception last night.
What?
Fucking Kira and her earrings.
Barbarian with advantage on listening. That's a good one. I like that.
No, that's funny.
So those are lots of good stuff. Looks like we got a really nice little comment here from Splinterverse. Thank you for joining us. Big fan. Do you want to tell us about it?
Oh, yeah, sure. A free adventure hook. Enable Despot.
Yeah.
Despot.
Despot.
Yeah. Despot.
Yeah, Despot has taken over an area using a well-trained pack of displacer beasts. But that's not all. Oh, God. But that's not all. He has somehow given other creatures tentacles and the displacement trait. What the fuck?
So I want to give a huge shout out. If you have not picked up Villains and Lairs by my boy Jeff Stevens, I did this exact thing.
Yep.
I created a character who experiments with alchemic potions and transplanting the displacer tentacles and actually gain the displacement power. So yeah, That's a good idea, and I'm not just saying because I got that. Is there any other strategies you think that we could employ here to really get the most out of it?
Yeah, I think I got a decent one. Is what if there's a pack of displacer beasts, right? And one of them is using a displacing ability hiding in a bush while its displacement is outside, making the characters think, oh, there's one right there, we're gonna attack, and as they're attacking it, they get ambushed by the others behind them, like a pack of raptors.
Dude,
Clever girl.
that is awesome.
Raptor train.
That's the kind of shit that I was talking about earlier, by utilizing the fact that they appear somewhere else. So if they're in a bush and their image is next to the bush, the characters are all going to attack it, and now they're going to get ambushed from behind and then not even be able to hit those. They just probably I just imagine they get like tentacles just coming out of the bushes.
Yeah. Now, kind of going off that, we could it is worth mentioning that according to the established lore that's written down at least, that it's rare to encounter normally more than 2 displacer beasts, because they're usually at best a mated pair at a time, but some of them might become a leader of a pack of other wild predators because they like to establish dominance within a pack, and they prefer to attack other animals rather than humanoids. Now,
Yes.
Obviously, you're a DM, you can choose to not do this, but once again, you're the DM.
Yes. I love this idea, and I think it's really great. And we actually had Barbara says using the pack of displacer beasts, but they arrange themselves to only look like one beast that is moving at impossible speeds. That is cool as hell.
When you think there's one, but there's many.
Oh my God, yes, that's awesome.
It also made me think too. There's a lot of creatures that mimic other creatures in nature. Like there's octopus that can make this look like snakes and such. Do you think that the displacer beast might be intelligent enough to, like, in the shadows, make themselves look like a beholder with their tentacles coming up and making the adventurers going, I don't know if we want to mess with that kind of thing.
Throwing off their perception.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Is there
a
any
giant scorpion?
So is there any strategies that we've missed that we could employ here? Because honestly, I'm a big fan of the Call of Cthulhu style, ripping the characters out and then having everyone else chase them, and then utilizing the after image to lure them into stepping on a raptor's tail or something. Could you imagine that? Like they're using their avoidance to leap and jump through a nest of like other beasts as they're running away.
If you want to homebrew some stuff, going off of the arcade game I mentioned earlier, like I said, you actually fought 2 displacer beasts on screen, but one was fake. So I can actually see somebody homebrewing an option where there is 2 on the map, or if you're using a battle map, of course. But then you roll 50-50 to see if you hit the right one.
I like that. And you can even go even farther with the you could even go giving intelligence checks until the characters are clued into the fact that they can see the shadow, and like making it easier to hit them or something along those lines. I feel like there's a lot you could really do with this. It sounds like we've got some pretty good ideas. The idea of the tentacles flailing and giving the illusion that there's something else is really cool. Using their illusion to chase other targets into other hazardous terrains. I'm instantly thinking of what is the elemental name, the little Dune Gurub. The Galeb Dern, those things look like boulders. So if this thing can easily dodge them after it's dragging one of the player characters with it and run right through a field of these big boulders, and as the characters run through stompy, and they all wake up and now they start rolling after them. That just sounds like an absolutely a fun encounter that I think would just be. I think. Is there anything we missed? I mean, we talked a little bit about them being prized guards and pets, and I think that's something to keep note of because they're smart enough. They can serve a master in exchange for regular meals and fresh meats, and they'll be loyal as long as they're taken care of.
But also does mention that they may turn against their master if it's opportune for them in some way, shape, or form.
Which to me sounds like a really, really great way to. That's Alicia.
Yeah.
It's a really great way to get them on your side. Hey, you know that they're mildly intelligent and they're very intelligent and will change loyalties based on the reward, just like any other player character.
Why did you betray me? Because you keep chucking fireball where I'm standing, you dick.
Garwin, that's that's mean.
What do you do?
They don't talk,
Giving Displacer Beast the mirror image spell.
Yes.
Wouldn't do anything though at that point, really.
You don't think so? Because if you hit, you still have to hit.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of Blurred.
Yeah, because Blurred does do the displacer thing, but with mirrored image, not only would they have disadvantage on because of the displacement, but even if they managed to hit, it would hit an illusion.
Yep.
Jesus. All right. Well,
Shit.
Or as somebody else indicated in chat, their master casting like a major illusion.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
There's just so much you can do. See, this is the perfect pet for the illusionist wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything around you is fake. So is the big giant cat you're chasing.
Actually, speaking of cats, one guy's like, "What happens if you try to use an illusionary spell to create a small red dot on the floor?" Distracted this place.
What the?
I approve of this message, and I would totally reward a player with inspiration for that, and at least give it where it doesn't affect it for one round.
Get it.
Which on a hit, it stops the displacement, I think, right? If you get hit, or only when it's unconscious. I don't remember. I think
if it gets hit.
If it gets hit. So
yeah.
I would totally be on board with that, and you should too. All right. I think that'll do it for our main topic, you guys. This was so much fun. We need to do more of these. I love just shooting the shit with all the different strategies we can develop, because that's going to benefit all of us as DMs and as players, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ian, what's your favorite monster?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Just because there's like so many. You know what? I'm just going to say it. I always seem to gravitate for some strange reason towards the Flame Skull.
Yes,
Flame
I
Skull.
love the Flame Skull. It's awesome. It's underutilized.
We'll talk about that next week.
Well, I've already got topics picked out, but we're gonna. I think we'll do. If you want to see more of these, let us know in the comments. Tag say more monster variants or no, more monster tactics. And Monster tactics. There's always monster variants every episode.
Everywhere.
All right. So with that, we'll end our main topic today.
The Displacer Beast.
I do want to take a moment and do our shameless plug. Our product.
Shame.
For shame. Our product, Fantastic Feats of Forgotten Realms, is now available on Dungeon Masters Guilds. One of the best parts of D&D is creating your character. So when it comes to this, you can never have enough options. So in this book, you will have 55 new feats for your 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game. So whether you're looking to enhance your roleplay, skills, or combat abilities, you will certainly find something that fits your taste, your play style. Yes. I was trying to find something on my thing here, because I think I thought I added it to the thing here and I don't see it. But that's okay. So if you want to check it out, you can head on over to rebrand.ly/fantastic-feats.
Fantastic.
I see what you did there.
Yes.
Alrighty then.